It says I'm live. Alrighty, let me pull the words up here. Oh, there's some kind of cold here today, but it's warmed up a little bit. It was 18 degrees when I woke up, and it's 19 degrees now, so that's a hopeful sign. My goodness. Already, I keep my little old timey analog clock at the ready here, so I'll know when it's 8 o'clock. Time to click the live button, and it is. So, hi there, and welcome to this day in history for February 13th. February 13th is the 44th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. 321 days remaining to the end of the year, 322 if it happens to be a leap year. I think I'm going to pull this up a little closer to me here. And maybe this lamp also. I thought it would be perfectly suitable to have it a little farther away from me, but I actually reached for the keyboard and it was quite a stretch. Alrighty, today's word is dossier. That's Dossier. It's French. Dossier. Dossier is a noun that means a collection of papers containing detailed information about a particular person or subject, usually a person's record. It's a type of written document preserving knowledge of facts or events. When the word dossier emerged in the French language in the 19th century, it's derived from a French word dos, meaning back or spine, reverse or blade, like the spine or spine of a book. Maybe we think that perhaps labels for these dossiers may have been attached to the spine of the file, like so. Like, here's a book, but we'll pretend it's a file that holds papers about someone. Maybe the label was attached to the spine, dossier. Alrighty, I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes. Ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. Hi, Mippy Moo Moo. I also love this sweater. I had it in a closet, and when I was looking for something warm to layer up in, I thought, where's that yellow sweater? I went and found it, put it on. It goes nicely with the stars, I think. Anyway, let's see here where we are. Yep, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And remember that you could share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. Also, there is a This Day in History playlist, which is linked in the show notes, and then I'll add it to the iCards once the live is done and we go to the replay. And pardon me just a moment. That's how cold it is today. To blow my nose a little bit. Okay, we're going to have some coffee now. I'm up the same amount of time that I usually am before one of these, but for some reason, I'm awake, but I don't look like it that much. Alrighty, let's jump into the history now. So we're going to start with February 13th in the year 1462, when the Treaty of Westminster was finalized between Edward IV of England and the Scottish Lord of the Isles. I found the name of the Scottish Lord of the Isles, and I thought, dear goodness, how in the world do you pronounce that? Those Celts had some names on them. And we Anglos find them not that easy to pronounce, I guess. Maybe I'm only speaking for myself. Anyway, a treaty between Edward IV of England and the Scottish Lord of the Isles. This was basically an agreement regarding the division of Scotland if Scotland should be conquered by England. and that seemed odd to me. I mean, the southern border of Scotland is pretty close to where Hadrian's Wall is. Hadrian built that wall in the 2nd century to separate the Romans from the barbarians, or the barbarians from the Romans, as ancient historians have reported. These barbarians, also known as Picts, P-I-C-T, they were Celtic-speaking people who resided in what is now present-day Scotland. The thing is, Hadrian built that wall to keep the Picts on the other side of it, because they could be a handful, I understand. The Picts were so called as a description, as apparently they were typically painted or tattooed. And my understanding is that they were high-spirited and tribal, and not about to settle into the orderly way of the Romans. So, having had quite a hatful of Pictish shenanigans, I could just imagine Hadrian saying something like the Roman version of OMG, those Picts, build a wall, build a wall. I don't know if it went exactly like that, but that's kind of what I'm imagining. And that was back in the year 122. That's when the Hadrian's Wall began construction. And so now it's 1,400 years later, 1462. The Picts are now Scottish, and the Scottish Lord of the Isles is making a treaty with Edward IV of England. And it's a little baffling to me that a people so fierce and troublesome that the Romans built a wall to not have to deal with them are now making treaties. I wonder if it was Edward's doing to kind of keep peace between them. I don't know. Because I could just imagine I started to call them Picts, but by now they're Scots, saying, oh yeah, go ahead and try, see what happens. They're kind of a little bit like that yet. Anyway, it was February 13th of 1462 that treaty was finalized. This is where I think about history as elegant gossip. Maybe that story wasn't particularly elegant, but elegant gossip. Alrighty, let's see here now. Catherine Howard, the 5th wife of Henry VIII of England, was executed for adultery on February 13th, 1542. I talk more about this story in last year's episode, which I will link right up there in the corner once the live is done and we go to replay. William III, also known as William of Orange and Mary II, Queen of England, Scotland, and Ireland, William and Mary were proclaimed co-rulers of England on February 13th, 1689. This is the birthday of Bess Truman, born February 13th, 1885. She was the 35th First Lady of the United States, and she lived to the age of 97. Go Bess. This is the birthday of artist Grant Wood, born February 13th, 1891. He's best known for paintings depicting the rural American Midwest. He is the artist who painted the picture called it's not the, doesn't have a the in front of it, American Gothic. He painted that picture called American Gothic in 1930. His inspiration for this particular painting was a cottage that had been designed in the revival style, or Gothic revival style. And he set about to paint a picture of that house along with the kind of people that he imagined would live there. And by the way, this is not a picture of a man and his wife, as is often thought. This is a painting of a man and his spinster daughter, or uh, old maid daughter. his his daughter who just never left the house, never got married. The artist's sister modeled for the daughter, and his dentist modeled for the farmer. Sadly and interestingly, Grant Wood died the day before he would have turned 51. He had pancreatic cancer. But for the second day in a row, someone died the day before their birthday. That was interesting. I mean, I guess it happens all the time. There's so many people on Earth. It's bound to happen a lot. But every once in a while, we see it on this day in history. This is the birthday of American singer Tennessee Ernie Ford, born February 13th, 1919. He had a TV show or two in the 50s, and he was known for saying, "Bless your pea-picking heart." Bless your pea-picking heart. I can hear him say it. I can't quite say it like he did, but I can hear him in my mind. Ernie Ford lived to the age of 72. This is the birthday of Chuck Yeager, born February 13th, 1923. He was an American general and test pilot and was the first test pilot to break the sound barrier. Remarkable human being, Chuck Yeager. Bless his heart, he died just last December the 7th of 2020, and he was 97. Go Chuck. On February 13th, 1935, a jury found Bruno Hauptmann guilty of the 1932 kidnapping and murder of the Lindbergh baby, the son of Charles Lindbergh. This is the birthday of English singer-songwriter Peter Gabriel, born February 13th, 1950. He's been active in the music business since 1967, and I like most Peter Gabriel music that I've heard. I'm particularly fond of Sledgehammer. Still alive, he turns 71 in 2021. There are quite a number of other famous birthdays on February 13 in various years, and you can hear more about some of those in last year's episode, which, as I said, will be linked in the iCards up there when we get done with the live. Moving on through the history, Israel obtained 4 of the 7 Dead Sea Scrolls on February 13th, 1955. And yikes, on February 13, 2001, an earthquake measuring 7.6 magnitude hit El Salvador. Killed at least 944 people. 7.6 is pretty strong. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I think that's going to do it for us today. Hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. And again, I'll put that link for last year's episode up there in the corner as well. Now, let's just scan through the notes here. See, is there anything else that I need to be sure and mention? Playlist, blog, give it a like, so on and so forth. Now, I'm just going to mention very briefly that most of the country is experiencing the kind of cold today over the next few days that, God bless you, Central New York, you all get every winter of the world. And it's not any easier in Central New York, but at least you're ready for it. And we've got water dripping here, and we're all laid in with groceries, so we should be fine. I guess my biggest concern is pipes bursting, and I've got water running. So I remember when I lived in Cooperstown that the pipes didn't really freeze up until he got into the teens. And it's warming up now. It was 17 when I got up. It's 19 now, but we're going to have some single digits. So in Cooperstown, in the house that I lived in there, the kitchen sink drain would freeze up. And so we had to open the cabinet and point a heater in under the kitchen sink and also in the basement to keep those lines flowing. So yeah, yeah, it's pretty doggone cold. So y'all stay bundled up, keep that heat going, keep that water dripping, and come back tomorrow. We'll do this again. So here's where I say thanks again and see you next time.